again today on ShadowReapers PvPvE server, 1980s. A slightly frustrating start to my mission this afternoon. An F-18 that spawned next to me immediately taxis and heads to the runway. On this server there is a 2-minute delay from when you spawn to when you can take off. And I'm assuming this guy is going to park on the side of the runway and let me pass. But no. He pulls straight onto the white line and proceeds to sit there for another minute and a half while I'm stuck behind him, unable to take off. His timer does eventually expire and he rolls away and I'm able to get started with my mission. Don't be that guy. On the way to the area of operations, there's a single A10 on the ShadowReapers server. There can be a lot of enemy aircraft out hunting, so the route to the target sometimes needs to be a bit wiggly, windy, turny and strategic.
Pull up.
So here I'm flying down some valleys, trying to keep off the visibility of enemy fighters.
Pull up.
And I do have a enemy aircraft on my early warning radar in front of me about 16 miles away.
Pull up.
But it does look like I've managed to sneak past that one.
Pull up.
You really have to use the terrain to your advantage as much as possible. Unfortunately, in this part of the Syria map, there isn't an awful lot of it. Just a few little hills and valleys sprinkled around, and in places an awful lot of desert. So my first mission is to take out an early warning radar in the November base. So when I get within range, just lining up, giving it some air balloons. 2 bombs away. And they fall short. A little bit too far for any splash damage. So I come around again. Line up on the EWR. And this time I'm going to pickle halfway out the mast. And this time they actually hit the target. So I fly around, select myself.
Waypoint 11 is your target for this mission. Adjust your heading as required.
A new mission at the same target. November, I've got to liberate. There's only those tents left at the far. So again, lining up on the far. In hindsight, I probably should have switched to rockets or even just done a gun run. I'm flying level, pretty straight. And as soon as the pipper touches the tent, I pickle. You can see it popped up on the heads-up display as empty. And again, they drop short by 20 metres. So again, circle round for rockets. And in swoops the mission destroyer, bombs the target. And completes my mission out from under me.
Bravo. November is no longer under enemy occupation. Ensure the safety of our ground and air convoys.
So I take another mission at a nearby base, and this time I'm looking to destroy strategic units. So that's tents, barracks, any other buildings, structures that are not factories or warehouses. And while looking around, I can see that there's some dust being thrown up on the helipad. So I have a quick look on the map to make sure it's not a friendly helicopter at the base, and decide that that is my priority target, because if that's an attack helicopter, it could cause me some serious damage. So I rifle off a Maverick on it, and then look for my targets. There's the barracks. So I've got loads of Mavericks, so I might as well use them, even though they're a bit overkill for tents. One Maverick should take out both of those barracks that are there. So rifle away a Maverick. And then just looking at that helicopter on the pad, seeing if my Maverick gets there. And I think that's the armour down there, just the other side of the waypoint. And Shack. 1 KA-50. Nice. Well, I can see some flashes on the ground there. The AAA's firing at me. So just going a bit defensive. That's probably a ZU-57. So those anti-aircraft rounds exploding around me. So now I'm just trying to get an angle back onto the FARP to destroy the fuel depot and tents that are there. Just a little frustratingly, it's on the far side of the armour. So the AAA is still shooting at me even here, so I'm going to orbit the other way, get a little bit more distance, and try and put a Maverick again onto the FARP tents. It's a shame the one that killed the helicopter didn't also splash the tents. That would have been nice. Just keeping eyes on those ground units. I'm rolling in onto the FARP. Get the Maverick lock on the middle of the tents. I think that's the fuel depot. Rifle that away. And go defensive quickly before the AAA starts up again.
Well done. Alvo Aldor is now under our complete control, and friendly forces will be operating from there.
Splash, 1 FARP. Nice big explosion over there. That should be all my targets, so I decide to get out of dodge. Heading back, I'm trying to keep as low as possible, use what little terrain there is. Even so, I have spotted that there is a enemy aircraft coming at me from my 7 o'clock position, and he's been slowly gaining on me. Not so slowly, since he's doing about 300 knots faster than me. About half a minute later, he's less than 20 miles away.
Pull up, pull up.
Checking the map, I don't really have any friendlies in the vicinity. I do think about turning towards the one I saw that was on the map, but I think that fighter's going to overtake me before I get there. So I decide to desperately run for these hills. 14 miles away now, pretty much directly behind me.
Pull up, pull up.
I've got no eyes on him, but he can probably see me. Little black dots streaking across the ground. Especially if that's a MiG-29 or Su-27. And it's got the electro-optical system. He can lock onto me without radar. He's just popped up on the EWR now, so he has turned his radar on. And he is probably tracking me. Still no sign of any friendlies. None of those fighters to the southwest have turned this way. This bandit is now only 10 miles behind me, coming straight for me. Is this the situation that solo CAS flights often find on ShadowReapers? You just get plucked by enemy patrols.
Pull up, pull up.
As soon as I crest this mountain, I decide to evade a little bit.
Pull up, pull up.
Hopefully I've dropped out of sight of this bandit. But he is at 3,000 feet, so he could have an angle on me.
Pull up, pull up.
And I'm going to try and fly along the ridge line,
Pull up.
just
pull
the other
up.
side of it, and turn back onto him. 6 miles away now, coming at me hot. 3 miles away, 328, so should come over this ridge. I should see him, yep. Easier than he can see me against the ground. He silhouettes against the sky. And I managed to get a Sidewinder, Fox 2, and a second for good luck.
Pull up. Pull up.
Hopefully they'll reach him and splash.
Altitude. Altitude.
We regret to report that Bravo has fallen out of our control.
Splash 1 MiG-29.
The enemy is trying to secure it with capture teams. We must prevent their success at all costs.
Pull up. Pull up.
I continue my journey back to my airbase. Pretty uneventful. But just as I get there,
It's disappointing news, but November has been captured completely by the enemy, and they are now operational there.
a message comes over that the base that I cleared at the start of this mission has been captured again by the enemy. So that's a bit frustrating that no blue helicopters could get there in time. Again, this really just highlights how ShadowReapers is absolutely dependent on teamwork. You need fighters and ground attack and helicopters all working together to move the front line, whatever side you're on. Landing back at base. Pretty smooth touchdown. Confirmation that my 2 strike missions were complete and 1 bonus MiG-29. I get my XP and I'm going to rearm, refuel and head out again.